Hey, welcome folks. Bob here from bobsplumbingvideos.com, and what I have laid out on the bench for you today are some common connecting methods when doing a basic two-handled faucet on a three-hole installation. Pretty common and pretty easy method of connecting these faucets, but I just wanted to bring some different pieces to your attention. And in particular, in today's world, most of the manufacturers of these two-handle faucets are going to supply you with plastic components. This is a plastic lock nut, which would mount the faucet to the sink. And then you have your plastic basin supply nut, which is actually going to connect the basin water supply to the faucet itself. Now, back when I started, we didn't have plastic components. It was all metal. And what I have here is a premium brass lock nut showing you, but back in the day, these lock nuts that we used to get with the faucets were like a white metal material, which were, strong, but, when you got them tightened up there, if you tried to come back a year later and get them off, they wouldn't come off. They were terribly fused onto the faucet. So then, as time went by, we started using brass, because brass will go on, brass will come off, and it'll always be removable. And we always had our metal backup washers, or rosettes, friction washers. They have a lot of names. And here's a premium friction washer. You can see this is a little beveled, and you can see this is pretty heavy. And this is pretty thin, but it serves the same purpose. So when we would mount the faucet, and I'm going to show you that up on the demonstration board here in a minute, I would put my friction washer first, followed by my lock nut. Again, my friction washer, followed by my lock nut, and then I would be able to whack the faucet up. I mean, you couldn't put these lock nuts on, because when they got up to the sink, they would just bind up, so you needed a backup washer. Now, what I would tell you that is, if you're going to use these plastic lock nuts that come with a lot of the faucets today, and in particular, if you're doing this on a cast iron sink, you're going to need a backup washer. Because once this hits the cast iron sink, it's going to bind as you tighten it, and it's going to stutter, and it's not going to really tighten well. So if you really want to whack your faucet down to the point where it's not going to move anymore, use a friction ring or a backup washer, whether it be the thin type or whether it be the premium type here. Either one will work. It'll just give you some free, unobstructed way for this to turn without binding up. Now, in addition to the plastic components, again, we went over the brass lock nut. We have the brass connecting nut to connect your water supply to the faucet. And when I started, this is what I used. This is what I use today. As a matter of fact, I'll give you a little tip, guys. If I get a faucet and has plastic components in it, I chuck them, because I carry my own brass lock nuts. I carry my own rosette washers and my own brass basin supply nuts. Now, what I have behind here lined up is just, I wanted to bring this to your attention. This is the connecting, or the connector, or the holder for the spray when you're doing a hose and spray in the sink. So I just wanted to tell you that in that case, you're going to have a fourth hole in the sink, and what you would do, just like a faucet, you would back up the bottom of this with some putty. You put your plumber's putty around here. You're going to put this in the hole, and then you're going to use your lock nut. Now, this lock nut, and actually this shank, is a little bigger than your standard faucet shank. So if you don't have a friction washer that's going to fit over here, such as you see here, what I generally do is I'll cut a piece of cardboard out. Just cut a piece of cardboard. I'll trace the outside diameter maybe of one of my rosettes, and then I'll push the cardboard up, and the cardboard acts as a friction washer. So when this goes up and gets to the bottom of the sink, what's going to happen is it'll allow this washer to keep moving until all that putty squeezes out, and you got this in there nice and tightly. Now, the other thing I wanted to bring to your attention is, in addition to the basin wrench that you're going to need, because without a basin wrench you're not going to be putting the faucet in, there's this nifty little tool that I found. It's called a basin buddy, and it's kind of like a multi-tool. And what you would do is use an extension connected to your ratchet, standard 3/8 ratchet with a long extension, and you could use this in lieu of a basin wrench. Now I'll give you a little demonstration up on the board here as soon as I'm finished showing you this down here. We're going to go through a little bit of an installation, a how-to on how to use these different connecting methods. But I just wanted to let you know that this tool is available. If you don't want to go out and buy a basin wrench, it'll cost you it'll probably cost you just as much, but it's not going to take up as much room in your toolbox, and it's a little bit more of a multi-tool because you can actually use these plastic lock nuts, and it's got the little grooves cut on them. So this will sit in. You have to turn it around. You have to find, there you go. There I go. I got the groove, and I got that in there, and that'll actually turn the lock nut, you know, clockwise, counterclockwise, and you can tighten up your nut that way. But let me reposition the camera, and then we'll go up below this demonstration board, and I'll show you how to use these different connecting methods.